The sky turned dark at noon. Taho Kim looked up from his desk at the Language Research Center. Through the wide windows, he saw a massive shadow moving across the sun. "Everyone, come look," he called to his team. The scientists rushed to the windows. A ship, larger than any human vessel, hovered above the city. Its dark metal surface reflected no light. Smaller craft dropped from its belly. "First contact," whispered Taho. His heart raced. As the team's top linguist, he had trained for this day. The aliens had finally arrived. The world's leaders quickly gathered online. Taho's boss called him to the main conference room. "We need you there, Lieutenant Kim. Your language skills might help." On the big screen, the United Nations Secretary General addressed the world. "We face a historic moment. We will meet these visitors with peace and hope." The alien ship sent a message. It appeared on screens worldwide. A tall, blue-skinned being with 4 eyes spoke in a strange, clicking language. Computers around the world worked to translate. "They're calling themselves the Voidari," said Taho, studying the incoming data. "They claim to be explorers. The world welcomed them." The Voidari ship landed in a field outside New York City. World leaders gathered to meet them. Taho watched the meeting from his research center in Seoul. The Voidari leader stepped forward. Its voice translated through special machines. "We come in peace," it said. Its eyes blinked in odd patterns. Taho noticed something strange in its speech. Something didn't match the body language. "Wait," he said to his team. "Something's wrong." A bright flash cut off his words. On the screen, the meeting area exploded. At the same moment, the building around them shook. Taho ran to the window. More Voidari ships appeared in the sky above Seoul. They fired bright blue beams at the buildings below. "We're under attack. Everyone out now," Taho shouted. The research team ran for the emergency stairs. The building rocked with another explosion. Part of the ceiling fell, blocking their path. "This way." Taho led them down another hallway. As they ran, he grabbed his tablet and a small device from his desk. The device contained years of his research on language patterns. They reached the back exit just as another blast hit the building. The force threw Taho forward. He landed hard on the ground outside. All around, people ran in panic. The Voidari ships moved across the sky, firing at buildings, roads, and crowds. Taho helped his team members up. "We need to get underground." On every screen in the city, the Voidari leader appeared again. Its 4 eyes looked cold. "Humans," it said in its translated voice. "You are primitive creatures bound by superstition and myth. Your world now belongs to the Voidari. Resistance will bring only death." Taho stared at the message. Something about the way the alien spoke about human myths seemed personal, almost angry. They reached the subway station. Hundreds of people crowded inside, seeking shelter from the attack. Taho's tablet received an emergency message. Similar attacks had hit every major city worldwide. "Why?" asked one of his team members, a young woman shaking with fear. "Why attack us? We did nothing to them." Taho looked at his tablet, which still displayed the Voidari leader's words about human myths and superstitions. "I don't know yet," he said, "but I think it has something to do with how they see us. They didn't just call us primitive. They specifically mentioned our myths." As the ground shook above them, Taho made a decision. He would survive this attack, and then he would learn everything he could about the Voidari, starting with why they seemed to hate human mythology so much. In the darkness of the subway tunnel, as the world above fell to alien invaders, Taho clutched his research device. Something told him the answers he needed might be hidden in humanity's oldest stories. 6 months had passed since the Voidari attack. The world Taho knew was gone. Major cities lay in ruins. The aliens had set up bases across Earth. Their tall ships stood like dark towers against the sky. Taho crouched behind a broken wall. His once clean research uniform was now dirty and torn. He watched the Voidari patrol pass by. The blue-skinned aliens moved with their strange, gliding steps. "Clear," he whispered into his radio. "Move now." 5 people ran from the shadows to join him. They wore dark clothes and carried stolen alien weapons. This was Taiho's new team, a resistance cell fighting against the Voidari. "The food storage is 2 blocks away," said Jae-young Park. She was their leader, a former military commander with sharp eyes and a strong voice. "Remember the plan. Get in, take what we need, and get out." Taiho nodded. In the months since the invasion, he had learned to fight, to hide, and to steal, all to survive. They moved through the ruins of Seoul. Once, these streets had been full of people and lights. Now, only Voidari patrols and desperate humans remained. "Look," said Hyunwoo, pointing up. Hyunwoo had been an engineer before the war. Now he helped the resistance understand alien tech. "They're building something new on top of that tower." Taiho looked up. On top of a half-destroyed skyscraper, the Voidari were building a strange round structure. It glowed with blue light. "Some kind of communication device," said Hyunwoo. "I've seen smaller ones at their bases." Jae-young checked her watch. "We don't have time. The food storage first." But Taiho couldn't look away from the strange device. "I want to see it closer," he said. Jae-young frowned. "That's not the mission. Their communication might tell us something important," said Taiho. "About why they're here, about how to fight them." After a moment, Jae-young nodded. "Fine. You and Hyunwoo check it out. The rest of us will get the food. Meet back at the base by midnight." Taiho and Hyunwoo split from the group. They climbed through broken buildings, getting closer to the tower with the strange device. "Here," said Hyunwoo, pointing to a service entrance. "We can use this to get to the upper floors." Inside, they moved carefully through dark stairwells. It took an hour to climb 20 floors. Finally, they reached a place where they could see the alien device up close through a broken window. Taiho pulled out small binoculars. Through them, he could see the strange symbols covering the round structure. His heart beat faster. "Those symbols," he whispered. "I've seen them before." "Where?" asked Hyunwoo. "On their ships." "No," said Taiho. "In human history books. They look like ancient symbols from different Earth cultures. Look at that one. It's almost identical to the Norse symbol for Yggdrasil, the world tree." Hyunwoo looked confused. "That doesn't make sense. Why would aliens use human symbols?" "I don't know," said Taiho. He took pictures with a small camera. "But remember what the Voidari leaders said in their first message, about humans being bound by myths and superstitions." A loud noise from below interrupted them. Voidari voices echoed in the stairwell. "They found us," whispered Hyunwoo. "We need to go now." They ran to another exit, moving quietly past empty offices. The Voidari voices grew louder. "This way," said Taiho, pointing to an elevator shaft. "We can climb down using the cables." They escaped just as the Voidari reached the floor they had been on. Outside, they ran through the dark streets, moving from shadow to shadow. "We need to tell Jae-young what we saw," said Taiho, still thinking about the strange symbols. "I think the Voidari know something about our myths, something that scares them." As they ran back to their hidden base, Taiho felt a new energy. For the first time since the invasion, he had found something that might help humanity fight back. The answer was somehow hidden in humanity's oldest stories, and he was determined to find it. Taiho sat in the corner of the underground bunker, surrounded by papers and old books. For 3 weeks, he had been collecting anything he could find about ancient myths. The resistance had made their base in an old subway tunnel. The concrete walls kept them hidden from Voidari scanners. "Still reading those old stories?" Hyunwoo asked as he sat down next to Taiho. He handed him a bowl of rice. Food was scarce, but they shared what they had. "Look at this," said Taiho, pointing to a drawing of a tree with a snake wrapped around it. "This symbol appears in myths from around the world. Norse, Greek, even Korean, and I saw this exact pattern on the Voidary communication device. Hyunwoo frowned. Maybe it's just a simple shape that both humans and aliens came up with. It's not just one symbol, said Taiho, showing more papers. Look, patterns of light and dark, balance and chaos, trees and serpents. They show up everywhere. And now I'm seeing them in Voidary tech too. What does it mean? Asked Hyunwoo. I don't know yet, Taiho admitted, but there's a connection. On the other side of the room, Jae-young gathered the team. Her face looked serious. We have new information, she announced. The Voidary have built a large structure on the outskirts of the city. Our scouts say it looks like a temple of some kind. A temple? Taiho stood up. Can we see it? Jae-young nodded. I'm sending a small team tonight. Taiho, you'll come with me. As night fell, Taiho, Jae-young, and 2 other resistance fighters made their way through the ruined city. They moved silently, avoiding Voidary patrols. After 2 hours, they reached a hill overlooking the Voidary structure. Taiho's eyes widened. The building was unlike other Voidary structures. Instead of sharp angles, it had curves and arches. Strange blue light pulsed from within. It did look like a temple. Let's get closer, whispered Jae-young. They crept down the hill and approached the building. Finding a window, they looked inside. Taiho gasped at what he saw. A group of Voidary stood in a circle. In the center was a fire giving off blue flames. The aliens moved around it in a pattern, raising their 4-fingered hands at certain points. On the walls of the room were the same symbols Taiho had been studying. They're performing some kind of ritual, Taiho whispered. Aliens with religion. Jae-young sounded doubtful. I thought they were all about technology. Taiho watched closely. The pattern of the ritual seemed familiar somehow. Wait, he said suddenly. I know this. This is like the ancient fire ceremonies used to ward off darkness. Human cultures did this thousands of years ago. Before anyone could respond, an alarm sounded. Red lights flashed around the temple. We've been spotted, shouted Jae-young. Run. They sprinted back up the hill as Voidary soldiers poured out of the building. Energy weapons fired, lighting up the night. One blast hit close to Jae-young, throwing her to the ground. Taiho ran back and helped her up. Come on. They barely escaped, reaching the safety of the underground tunnels just before dawn. Jae-young's arm was burned from the near miss of the energy weapon. As the medical team treated her wound, Taiho paced back and forth. His mind raced with what he had seen. They have rituals, he said to Hyunwoo. Advanced aliens with rituals almost identical to ancient human ones, and they hate our myths. Why? Maybe you're right, said Hyunwoo slowly. Maybe there is a connection. Jae-young called them over. Despite her injury, her eyes were bright with determination. The main Voidary base, she said, pointing to a map. We're going to attack it next week. Taiho felt a chill. That's suicide. Their weapons are too strong. Jae-young looked at him. Then find us a weakness, Taiho. If there's a connection between our myths and their technology, find it before we attack. Taiho nodded. The lives of his friends now depended on solving this mystery. He had 1 week to find the truth hidden in humanity's oldest stories. This is a waste of time, said Sumin, as she dusted off another old book. We should be planning the attack, not reading fairy tales. Taiho looked up from his notes. Sumin Kang had joined them yesterday. Before the invasion, she had been a professor of anthropology at Seoul National University. Her knowledge of myths was better than anyone's, but her attitude was not helpful. These aren't just stories, said Taiho. I've seen the Voidary using these same symbols. Sumin pushed her glasses up her nose. Coincidence. Many basic symbols appear across cultures because they're simple shapes. Jae-young entered the room. Her burned arm was bandaged, but she moved as if she felt no pain. Are you making progress? She asked. Taiho sighed. Not much. We need more information. More books. The university library, said Sumin suddenly. It had one of the best collections of mythology texts in Asia. Is it still standing? Asked Jo Young. Last I heard, said Sumin, the Voidari don't seem interested in libraries. Ja Young thought for a moment. It's risky, but we have 5 days before the attack. If there's even a small chance this could help us. She nodded. Taiho, you and Sumin will go tomorrow night. The next evening, Taiho and Sumin made their way through the empty streets. The university campus was dark and quiet. No Voidari patrols were visible, but they moved carefully anyway. The library is this way, whispered Sumin, leading them across a courtyard. The large building stood untouched. Inside, they used small flashlights to find their way to the mythology section. Look for anything about cosmic balance, light and dark forces, or world trees, said Taiho. Sumin rolled her eyes but began searching the shelves. For 2 hours, they worked in silence, collecting books and placing them in their backpacks. What about this? Asked Sumin, showing Taiho a book. It's about astronomical alignments in ancient religions. Taiho took the book and flipped through it. His eyes widened. This is it. Look at these diagrams of stars. The book showed how ancient cultures tracked certain star patterns. The drawings looked exactly like patterns Taiho had seen on Voidari weapons. Their weapons have these same star maps, he said excitedly. And look here. It says these alignments were believed to be times when the barrier between worlds was weakest. Sumin looked skeptical but interested. Many cultures believed certain astronomical events affected spiritual power. A loud crash outside made them both jump. Through the window, they saw a Voidari patrol entering the campus. We need to go, said Taiho, stuffing the book into his bag. Now. They ran to the back exit, but another patrol was coming that way. Trapped, they hid behind a large desk as the aliens entered the library. They're searching for something, whispered Sumin. But what? Maybe the same thing we are, said Taiho. They watched as the Voidari scanned the mythology section, taking some books and destroying others. They're removing information about myths, said Taiho. Why would they do that unless? Unless the myths are important, finished Sumin, her voice now serious. When the aliens finally left, Taiho and Sumin hurried back to the resistance base. They spread the books on the table as Hyunwoo and Ji Young gathered around. The Voidari weapon systems, said Taiho, pointing to diagrams in the books and then to sketches he had made of alien technology. They matched these ancient star patterns exactly. And according to these texts, the weapons might be weaker during certain alignments. When is the next alignment? Asked Ja Young. Sumin checked an astronomical calendar. 2 days from now, just before our planned attack. For the first time, Sumin looked at Taiho with respect. I think you might be right. The Voidari aren't dismissing our myths because they're false. No, said Taiho. They're afraid of them because they're true. The underground bunker buzzed with activity. Resistance fighters cleaned weapons and checked equipment for the coming attack. In one corner, Taiho, Sumin, and Hyunwoo sat surrounded by open books and hand-drawn charts. Look at this, said Taiho, pointing to a page. Ancient cultures all over Earth encountered what they called the cosmic force, or the Great Light. They built temples to channel it. And here, added Sumin, showing another book. When the stars align like they will tomorrow night, this force was said to be strongest. Ja Young joined them, her face tired but determined. Have you found something that will help us? Taiho took a deep breath. What he was about to say sounded crazy, but all the evidence pointed to it. We think we know why the Voidari invaded Earth, he said. It's not about our resources or our planet. It's about this. He held up an ancient drawing showing people standing with their arms raised, light flowing from their hands. Both humans and Voidari encountered a powerful cosmic force thousands of years ago, explained Taiho. But they dealt with it differently. Humans wrote about it in stories and myths. teaching future generations how to understand it. The Voidari did something else, continued Sumin, now fully convinced. They built their entire civilization around controlling this force with technology. That's what powers their weapons and ships. They're not attacking us because they think our myths are primitive, said Taiho. They're attacking because they're afraid of what happens when humans rediscover this power. Jai Young frowned. You're saying there's some kind of magic force, and the Voidari are afraid we'll learn to use it. Not magic, said Hyunwoo. Just science we don't understand yet. Look at their technology. It doesn't follow the laws of physics as we know them. Can we use this against them? Asked Jae Young. Taiho nodded. Tomorrow night, when the stars align, their weapon systems will be vulnerable. But there's more. He paused. I think some humans might be able to access this force naturally, without technology. That's why they want to wipe us out, said Sumin. We're a threat to them. Hyunwoo had been studying the Voidari technology they had captured. I think I might be able to build a device that disrupts their energy systems during the alignment. But I need a specific component, something they keep in their main base. What is it? Asked Jo Young. The texts call it the Dark Stone, said Taiho. It's described as a black sphere covered in ancient symbols. If the Voidari are following the pattern we've discovered, they'll have it in their central command room. So we need to get this stone during our attack. Jo Young looked concerned. That makes things even more dangerous. If we get it, we might not just win one battle, said Taiho. We might find a way to end the war. Later that night, as others slept, Taiho sat alone with the books. His head hurt from reading so much, but he couldn't stop. Something pulled him forward, like a voice calling from the distant past. He found a small drawing in the corner of an old page. It showed a human holding a dark sphere, surrounded by aliens bowing down. Below it was written in ancient text, "When the Chosen One holds the key to both worlds, the Star People will remember their oath." Taiho felt a strange tingling in his hands. Looking down, he saw them glowing faintly in the dim light. The glow lasted only a second before fading away. He closed the book quickly, his heart racing. Was he imagining things, or was he somehow connected to this cosmic force? Tomorrow, they would attack the Voidari base. Tomorrow, they would try to find the Dark Stone. And tomorrow, Taiho might discover if these ancient myths held the key to saving humanity, or if they were just stories after all. The night of the attack arrived. Dark clouds covered the sky, hiding the stars that would soon align. Outside the Voidari main base, resistance fighters took their positions. Remember the plan, said Jo Young to her team. The main group will attack the front gates. That's our distraction. Meanwhile, our small team will enter through the service tunnel. Taiho checked his equipment one last time. Beside him stood Su Min, Hyunwoo, and a soldier named Junho. Junho was tall and strong with a serious face. He had never believed Taiho's theories about myths, but he was the best fighter they had. This better be worth it, Junho said to Taiho. Many people will die tonight for your Dark Stone. Taiho nodded. It will be worth it. I promise. At exactly midnight, the attack began. Explosions rocked the front gates of the Voidari base. Alarms blared as alien soldiers rushed to defend against the assault. That's our signal, said Jae Young. Move out. The small team ran through the shadows to a hidden entrance they had discovered weeks ago. Hyunwoo used a stolen access card to open the door. They slipped inside, finding themselves in a dim service corridor. The command center should be 3 levels up, whispered Taiho, looking at a map they had drawn based on scout reports. They moved quietly through the base, hiding whenever Voidari patrols passed. The sound of the battle outside echoed through the walls. The stars are aligning, said Sumin, checking her watch. We have about 20 minutes before the peak. They reached a large door with strange symbols carved into it. The same symbols Taiho had seen in the ancient books. This is it, he said. The command center. Junho looked through a small window in the door. There are 5 Voidari inside. Too many to fight. We don't need to fight, said Hyunwoo, pulling out a small device. I made this from parts of their own technology. It should disrupt their vision systems for a few seconds. He slid the device under the door and pressed a button. A high-pitched sound filled the air, followed by confused alien shouting. Junho pushed the door open, and they rushed inside. The Voidari stumbled around blindly. Junho and Ji-young quickly tied them up, while Taiho, Su-min, and Hyunwoo searched the room. Look at this, gasped Su-min. The walls were covered with artifacts from Earth, ancient tablets, stone carvings, and old books. All of them showed the same symbols they had been studying. They've been collecting these for months, said Taiho, taking them from museums and libraries all over the world, and destroying many of them, added Su-min, pointing to a pile of ashes in the corner. Hyunwoo was examining the alien technology. These machines are translating the symbols, looking for something specific. There, said Taiho, pointing to a sealed door at the back of the room. That must be where they keep the dark stone. Ji-young tried the door, but it was locked. We need a key. One of the captured Voidari made a strange laughing sound. Though tied up, the alien spoke in broken human language. Too late, it said. Your myths die today. Your power ends. Taiho approached the alien. What do you mean? What happens today? The Voidari's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. The alignment, the great forgetting. When the stone activates, humans lose all knowledge of the ancient power. Forever. A cold fear gripped Taiho. We need to get that stone now. Junho didn't wait. He picked up a Voidari weapon and fired at the locked door. It shattered, revealing a small chamber beyond. In the center, floating in a beam of light, was a black sphere covered in glowing symbols, the dark stone. But as they stepped toward it, alarms blared. The main door burst open, and armed Voidari soldiers poured in. Take cover, shouted Ji-young, as energy blasts filled the room. Junho pushed Taiho toward the inner chamber. Get the stone. I'll hold them off. As Taiho and Su-min ran for the stone, Junho stood in the doorway, firing at the oncoming aliens. His face showed no fear, only determination. Taiho reached for the dark stone, his hands trembling. This was the moment that would decide the fate of humanity. Taiho's fingers closed around the dark stone. The moment he touched it, a shock ran through his body. The stone's symbols glowed brighter, pulsing with blue light. I've got it, he shouted. Behind them, Junho was still fighting the Voidari soldiers. Energy blasts flew around him, but he didn't stop firing. Go, Junho yelled. I'll hold them back. Su-min grabbed Taiho's arm. We have to leave now. They ran toward the back exit where Hyunwoo and Ji-young were waiting. The sound of fighting grew fainter behind them. Taiho clutched the dark stone to his chest, feeling its strange warmth. Junho, asked Ji-young when they reached her. Su-min shook her head. He stayed behind to give us time. Ji-young's face hardened. Then we make sure his sacrifice wasn't for nothing. They escaped through service tunnels, avoiding Voidari patrols. The battle still raged at the front gates, but they made it safely back to the resistance base. In the underground bunker, Hyunwoo set up a small lab. He examined the dark stone while Taiho and Su-min searched through their books for information. The symbols are changing, said Hyunwoo, pointing to the stone's surface. Look, they shift every few seconds. Taiho found a picture in one of the ancient texts. Here it is. They called it the Sphere of Stars. According to this, it contains knowledge from both humans and the sky people from long ago. Can we use it against the Voidari? Asked Ji-young. Hyunwoo connected some wires to the stone. I'm trying to interface it with the Voidari technology we've captured. If I can understand how it works. Suddenly, the stone pulsed with bright light. The wires melted away. The sphere rose into the air, hovering above the table. What's happening? Young backed away. A beam of light shot from the stone, projecting a star map on the wall. Points of light connected to form patterns. It's a map, whispered Sumin. A map of cosmic energy points in our solar system. Tai-ho stepped closer to the projection. Something about it called to him. Without thinking, he reached out toward the light. The moment his fingers touched the projection, everything changed. Energy surged through his body. His skin glowed with faint blue light. Images filled his mind. Ancient humans standing in stone circles, raising their hands to the sky. Voidary ancestors building machines to capture the same energy. A great battle fought among the stars. Tai-ho gasped and fell to his knees. Su-min rushed to help him. What happened? Are you okay? She asked. Tai-ho looked at his hands. The glow was fading, but he could still feel something new inside him. A power he had never known before. I understand now, he said softly. The Voidary didn't invent their technology. They found it, just like ancient humans did. But where humans learned to connect with this cosmic energy through their minds and bodies, the Voidary built machines to control it. What does that mean for us? Asked Young. Tai-ho stood up. It means humans don't just understand this power through myths. Some of us can channel it naturally. The Voidary know this. That's why they fear us. To demonstrate, Tai-ho focused his thoughts on a small Voidary device on the table. It rose into the air, floating as if weightless. Everyone stared in shock. How are you doing that? Han-Wu's eyes were wide. The stone showed me how. The knowledge was always in our myths, in our stories. We just forgot how to use it. Tai-ho looked at the others. And I'm not the only one who can learn. The sphere pulsed again, projecting a new image. The Voidary mothership surrounded by smaller craft, preparing for something big. They know we have the stone, said Tai-ho, and they're getting ready for their final attack. 3 days passed. Tai-ho spent every hour learning to use his new abilities. He could move objects without touching them. He could sense Voidary movements from miles away. And sometimes he could see brief flashes of the future. You're getting stronger, said Su-min as she watched Tai-ho practice. He was moving larger objects now. Chairs, tables, even a small car. But not strong enough, said Tai-ho. The Voidary mothership has thousands of soldiers, and their weapons are still powerful. Hyun-woo had been studying the dark stone. I think I've figured something out, he said. This sphere isn't just a map or a key. It's a communication device. The Voidary use it to talk to each other across great distances. Can we use it to listen to their plans? Asked Young. Better, said Hyun-woo. I think Tai-ho can use it to speak directly to their leaders. That night, they gathered around the sphere. Tai-ho placed his hands on it, feeling the energy flow through him. He closed his eyes and focused his mind, reaching out to the Voidary. Suddenly, his consciousness stretched across space. He felt himself moving through the city, up into the sky, into the massive Voidary mothership. There, in a large chamber, stood the Voidary Supreme Commander, taller than the others, with 6 eyes instead of 4. I can see him, whispered Tai-ho. The Supreme Commander. Can you speak to him? Asked Young. Tai-ho focused harder. In his mind, he stood before the alien leader. I know why you fear us, Tai-ho said in the mental connection. The Supreme Commander spun around, sensing the intrusion. Impossible. A human, using the old ways. The truth you try to hide, continued Tai-ho. I know it now. Both our species encountered the cosmic force thousands of years ago. You built technology to control it. We learned to connect with it naturally. The alien's 6 eyes blinked rapidly. Your kind must not be allowed to reclaim this power. It is too dangerous. Why? Because we might become stronger than you. Because humans cannot control themselves. The Supreme Commander's thoughts were angry. We have watched your history, your wars, your destruction. If your kind wields the cosmic force, you will bring chaos to the stars. Before Taeho could respond, the connection broke. He gasped and fell back, exhausted. What happened? Asked Sumin. They're coming, said Taeho. All of them. The Supreme Commander has ordered a final attack to destroy all resistance and take back the sphere. Outside, alarms began to sound. The bunker shook as explosions hit the city above them. They found us, said Jaidong. Everyone, prepare to evacuate. Chaos erupted in the bunker as people grabbed weapons and supplies. Taeho held the sphere tight, feeling its energy pulse faster. There's something else, he said to Sumin. The Supreme Commander didn't tell me everything. There's another reason they fear humans with this power. More explosions rocked the bunker. Part of the ceiling collapsed. Through the hole, they could see voidary ships filling the sky. We need to go now, shouted Jaidong. As they ran for the exit, a massive blast hit directly above them. The tunnel collapsed. Taeho was thrown forward, losing his grip on the sphere. It rolled away into the darkness. When he woke up, he was alone in a small cell. The walls were made of the same dark metal as voidary ships. He had been captured. The cell door opened. 2 voidary guards entered, followed by their Supreme Commander. The tall alien looked at Taeho with its 6 eyes. The human who speaks with the old power, it said in halting English. You will tell us where your friends have taken the sphere. Taeho stood up, facing the alien leader. I don't know, but even without it, I can still use the power your kind has forgotten. To prove his point, Taeho lifted his hand. All the small objects in the cell rose into the air. The Supreme Commander stepped back. Impossible. The truth you feared is real, said Taeho. Humans don't need technology to use the cosmic force. It's part of us. It always has been. The Supreme Commander stared at Taeho, all 6 eyes blinking in different patterns. The floating objects slowly settled back down. You are not the only human who can do this, said the Supreme Commander. No, replied Taeho. There are others, many others. They just don't know it yet. The alien turned to its guards and spoke in their clicking language. The guards left quickly, leaving Taeho alone with the Supreme Commander. For 10,000 years, my people have controlled the cosmic force with machines, said the alien leader. We believed we were the only ones who knew about it. Then we found Earth and saw our myths, said Taeho. Stories that showed humans knew about the same power. The Supreme Commander moved to a small window. Outside, the Earth was visible below the mothership. We thought destroying your knowledge would keep you weak, it said. But we were wrong. The knowledge was never in your books or temples. It was inside you all along. Taeho walked to the window. Why did you really attack us? It wasn't just fear. For a long moment, the alien was silent. Then it touched a panel on the wall. A star map appeared, much larger than the one the sphere had shown. Thousands of stars glowed, with many marked by red symbols. There is something coming, said the Supreme Commander. Something ancient and dangerous. We call them the Devourers. They consume worlds and live in the space between stars. For centuries, we have fought them alone. What does this have to do with Earth? The Devourers fear the cosmic force. It is the only thing that can stop them. We use our technology to fight them, but it is never enough. When we found Earth and realized humans could naturally connect to the force, the alien's voice trailed off. You weren't trying to destroy us, said Taeho, suddenly understanding. You were testing us. A loud alarm sounded throughout the ship. The door burst open, and voidary soldiers rushed in. Supreme Commander, humans have breached our lower decks. Taeho smiled. His friends had come for him. The ship shook as explosions hit its lower sections. The Supreme Commander looked at Taeho. Your choice, human. Fight us and watch your world burn, or join us against the real enemy. More explosions rocked the ship. The door to the command room flew open. Jae-hum stood there, holding a voidary weapon. Behind her were Su Min, Hyunwoo, and other resistance fighters. "Tai-ho," shouted Jia-young. "Step away from that thing." "Wait." Tai-ho held up his hands. "Don't shoot. I know the truth now." He quickly explained what the Supreme Commander had told him. About the Devourers. About the real reason for the war. "You expect us to believe this?" asked Jia-young, her weapon still raised. "After everything they've done." "I can prove it," said the Supreme Commander. It pressed another button on the wall. A large screen showed a distant part of space. Something moved there. Something huge and dark, blotting out the stars as it moved. "The first wave of Devourers," said the alien. "They will reach Earth in 1 year." Su Min stepped forward, holding the dark sphere they had recovered from the ruins of their base. "This shows the same thing," she said. "I've been studying it. The symbols aren't just about power, they're a warning." Tai-ho looked from his friends to the Supreme Commander. "We have a choice to make. Continue fighting each other or face this threat together." He raised his hand, calling on the cosmic force. Blue energy glowed around his fingers. "Humans can use this power naturally. Your people have the technology to focus it. Together, we might have a chance." The Supreme Commander lowered its head in what seemed like a bow. "The myths your people kept alive for thousands of years," it said. "They weren't just stories. They were preparation for this moment." Tai-ho turned to Jia-young and the others. "What do you say? Do we keep fighting the Voidari, or do we join them against the real enemy?" Jia-young slowly lowered her weapon. "If what you're saying is true, we don't have much choice." Tai-ho nodded and extended his hand to the Supreme Commander. The alien hesitated, then reached out with its four-fingered hand. As they touched, a flash of blue energy surrounded them both. The war between humans and Voidari was over. A new chapter in Earth's history had begun, one that would prove the power of humanity's oldest myths.